pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Our first order of business is to approve minutes of previous meetings. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Any second? Does anybody have any questions, concerns, changes? Seeing none, do we have Jamie online yet? No? All right, all in favor? Thank you very much. And now we could hear from Dr. Manso.
So I submitted a report, and as you can see, we have been busy. I think just in short, a lot of our projects have been maybe I can say maturing. We're coming to the end of them, we're wrapping them up, and so there's been a lot of work, for example, in the student handbook. The student handbook with the principals previously really had been done in isolation, and last fall, the principals felt like this was something that we really should coordinate. And so I really give them kudos. So what we did is we sat around a table and we said, okay, we understand that there will be some need to make it your own, because parking is going to be different from every school. But there are a lot of things that are consistent. And so we've been gathering all of those things. We've had transportation update their addition to the handbook. We've had technology update as well. So all of those things will be included. Handbooks will then be placed on the web of each school's website, but there'll still be a copy available, because that's one of the things in the law that requires that if somebody should need a hard copy, they should be able to do that. So well, that's a kind of a brief example of the kinds of things that we've been doing, and we'll be moving forward. You'll see more of that over the next month.
Excellent. Anybody have any questions on anything else in the report? All right, thank you. All right. Laura.
So I submitted a financial statement. I don't know if there were any questions about that. I do have it. I can scroll through it on the screen if people would like. So revenues, I do want to point out that I think our tuition revenues were over budgeted for this year. Because we have been collecting the revenues all along, and I think that I just don't think I did a good job with that. So just put that out there. But we've had special education aid, which was formerly known as CAT aid, that came in excess of what we had budgeted, that's offsetting the under collection of Medicaid. We have the fund balance that we sent back to reduce taxes that's recognized as revenue as well. So we're still going to be in good shape, but I just wanted to point that out. I provided explanations for the overages. The one interesting thing is the food service transfers that came through in the contract, which of course is renewed and comes through with the updated budget well after the budget is set. At about 130,000 for a transfer instead of the 110 that we had budgeted for. I believe in this upcoming fiscal year, we budgeted about 140 for the transfers, just kind of based on history here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's better in the line with the contract that they presented for the RFP in response to the RFP. Anyway, that was my financial report. And then I was looking at, I've been looking at the activity, trying to come up with the estimated for our fund balance return. And after we fund the $250,000 warrant article, it looks like we're going to have about 600,000 to return for taxes. I do have some big line items still to vet and go through with bookkeepers and administrators, so that could increase.
Okay, but you're not expecting it to go over, you're not gonna be asking for any,
No, I don't anticipate being in a deficit situation at all.
okay, good. When you say big line items, then I start going,
We know, but those big line items are already factored in, so if we clear out and I don't need to encumber money for. We have some vendors that bill us late and we were hit with some of those this past year, but we still had monies encumbered from the prior year that we could use those for, so. I just want to make sure that we have encumbrances properly aligned for those type of services. So the only thing it would do is increase, that's where I'm at right now.
Okay.
I try to be conservative with my numbers, so.
I'm sure I speak for the rest of the board, but we do appreciate that.
Yeah, it's better to be surprised in a positive way.
Right, for sure.
So, and then, I do wanna, just mention that, we are working on, summer programming and food services, and Scott has been great and has been spearheading that and, working with JASA. They keep tightening the, rules and changing things, so we're still adjusting to that. So there's some details to still work out, but we should have it advertised, and the information available before school is out, and so, there'll be that benefit to families.
Terrific.
Just a follow-up question, we're, just based on the things up there right now, we are underextended for special education by $402,000. That sounds about like 4 or 5 people. Is that why we have open positions? Is that why that is so? It's lying.
Yeah, so, the tuition, we've got some tuition that's not encumbered this is one of my big line items.
Okay,
So I have some unencumbered expenses right now when I look at the budget versus what we've spent. And there was tuition, there were some related services, there are positions, so there are a few things.
that will decrease that $400,000
Yes,
under,
could,
right?
yeah.
Right.
So I want to work with Kathy and Sandra to iron that out and just make sure that I'm on the right page and that we have things properly encumbered.
Is the same thing true for speech services then as well?
Yeah.
Okay, right, thanks.
All right, seeing no other questions. Thank you. Was there anybody who gave us a building report? Anybody who wanted to speak at this time? Seeing none, thank you very much. We'll move on to new business. We have with us Justin with a presentation on thoughtful classroom. Oh, and
Yes.
yes,
And others.
yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We want to just kind of talk to you about what our current evaluation system looks like and the direction that we're heading in. Last year, we were tasked to meet with staff and we have this committee and we wanted representation from every attendance area, each grade level, high school as well. So these were the committee members that were a part of that and relaying information back and forth between the staff and then our committee as well, so we can make the appropriate decisions and discussions moving forward. Amanda Kinson and Jackie Ronning joined me today to kind of talk further about this.
Thank you.
But I know I forwarded you a lot of papers and everything as well. But I wanted to give you an idea of what our evaluation currently is and how different they are between each staff member. And that's the piece that we really wanted to focus on. We wanted to have common language. So that way, if any staff member decided to go to a different attendance area, they're going to receive the same exact evaluation from any administrator. And also, we want our paraprofessionals receiving the same type of feedback that our educators are, our secretaries, our custodians, our bus drivers, everyone receiving the same type of feedback that they deserve to to improve and to continue to educate themselves in the field that they're in. So out of the 13 years that I've been here, we've been using the Danielson model for the framework that we've been looking at. I have not once had a training on the Danielson model of really what that is. And
Really?
we've talked to staff about how that was something that we have new staff coming in and we're like, all right, we're gonna be evaluating you. Here we go. So there was really never any follow-up. And that's why we're really excited to bring Thoughtful Classroom forward, because we're already planning. We had our administration team took this past year to meet with Dean Ariama, who has been working with us on, just talking about the framework, doing walkthroughs with us, and getting us to be familiar and comfortable with it before we brought it to the staff. And then a few weeks ago, during one of the half days, we introduced Thoughtful Classroom to the staff. We provided books and resources to them already so they can start looking at it, reviewing it. We have ordered extras so that way when we do get new staff in, they get those as well. And our support staff are getting some of these materials along the way. That was the big piece. And then when we start the new school year on new staff day, Dean is going to be doing an online piece with them for the first hour to kind of talk about and get everyone up to speed for what we already discussed. And then on our first full day together as a district, we'll be having another training with him to go even further with it. But like I said, the big piece is that we're looking to bring familiarity and common language to everyone. So when I shared all of those different ones with you, we're looking to bring, let's say, our school counselors. We're gonna be bringing our school counselors together to look at this framework and say, what do you, because these cornerstones that they'll be talking about in a second, they're foundation for everything. So how do we get that to relate to and focus more towards our school counselors, towards our paraprofessionals, so that way the feedback that they're receiving is relevant to them and not just a teacher framework. So that's the piece that we're really going to be focusing on. And I brought these sheets for you, so that way you can hold on to these, and it goes in a deeper, really understanding explanation of each of those as well. You can have a copy of that. And so I think what I'll do is turn it over to both of you, so that way you can kind of talk about the process that we went through and your experience with it so far.
Hi, I'm Jackie Roney, for those who don't know me. So what we were hoping to do here is really kind of shift the paradigm from sort of a top-down management to a collaborative approach, because in past years, it's been, as you probably can see from your paperwork, it's really been administrator-led, but this particular model is encouraging, like 21st century business model, really, collaboration, working together, so that the principals get to know the employees on a deeper level, understand their strengths, their concerns, weaknesses, and work on those things, as opposed to, going into a classroom a couple times a year and saying, okay, you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right, the standard wasn't on the board. We're looking to help people improve, so that we're on a continuous improvement model. And it's collaborative, and it's encouraging principals to kind of work with us. So can I just, am I all set to? Yeah, there it goes. This is so good. I love this. So we have 3 components to kind of go through, and I'll try to go through this quickly and turn it over to Amanda. But really, our 3 components consist of, we have this grid, and then our main pillars here, our cornerstones, are the organization, rules and procedures, positive relationships, deepening and reinforcing learning, reflecting on and celebrating learning, a culture of thinking and learning, and engagement and enjoyment. So as you can already see, based on the paperwork that Justin provided, this is a really big shift in terms of what we're all striving for the children, and also for ourselves as educators. Okay, and then we have the 5 episodes of effective instruction. Which are preparing students for new learning. So the evaluator comes in and is looking for that, but the teacher is working on that. So all of these things, the teacher's working on, and of course, there'd be discussion and working together prior to the actual the lesson or whatever the walkthrough for that day would be. Deepening and reinforcing learning, presenting new learning, reflecting and celebrating the learning, and applying learning. Okay, and then, of course, at the bottom of this document is professional practice, because all of these components will strengthen the professional practice, not just for younger educators, but for folks like myself who, with 39 years in the field, I was looking for something to help me be a better teacher, because we should be getting better every single year. That's a pretty critical piece. And as a steward of the profession, I'm looking for something like this. So I was very excited about it when Justin brought it to us. And we had listened to several vendors, and this by far was really what we thought was the best one. So what you're looking at is a really strong visual framework with multiple components. And did you want to hand out the books? We can pass those around. But it isn't just this document. The books themselves are tools for teachers and for the administrators. So if there's any concerns or a teacher has questions about their practice, the principal can say, well, you might want to revisit page 38 in this particular book or manual, and we can sit down together and figure out what components would work for you in your teaching. Again, it's collaboration that matters, right? And that's really what we're striving for, is strengthening the relationship in our schools with our administrators, so that we're all working together for the quality of education and that continuous improvement. And then, you all set?
So if I were, thank you, this one.
Yeah, the big one.
That's it. If I were going through the evaluation process, I would sit down with Justin, who's my principal, and we would have a conversation about what we might focus on. These 4 cornerstones that we have would be a part of all kind of evaluations. These are things that apply to everyone and would be relevant to everyone throughout the district, really. So we would look at those 4 cornerstones for effective teaching, and maybe pick something to kind of focus on within that process. Perhaps he's going to come in for an observation, and we've identified together an area of growth or something I'd like to get better at. And we can have that collaborative conversation ahead of time. So he's coming in and he's looking for something specific, which will help me grow as an educator, also then helping my students as we move forward. We really loved that these 4 cornerstones are so applicable to really anyone throughout our district. This is not just a teacher evaluation and then needing a separate support staff evaluation and a separate, each individual having all of those, like the documents you received earlier. It's all cohesive, so we can all use the same model. So those are those 4 cornerstones. They're universal elements of quality instruction. They are always relevant in any classroom. And without the cornerstones in place in the classroom, student learning will be compromised. So these are the things that kind of support and hold up our classroom throughout the school year. So the last part that I think I had already mentioned was always part of a teacher's evaluation. And you can kind of insert the word teacher. These slides are mentioning teacher, but really can be applied to anyone that's being evaluated at that time. So we have those 4 cornerstones. We have the 5 episodes of effective instruction, which Jackie outlined for you. So good instruction unfolds in a series of learning episodes. So these might be additional focus areas that we might identify to kind of hone in a little bit more specifically on a certain area. You know, for the first year in implementation, we might be working on just those 4 cornerstones. How can we build those effectively throughout our schools? And then we will start bringing in some of these other pieces. The important thing to note here is there are these 4 cornerstones and then the 5 episodes of effective instruction along with that professional practice. So it creates those 10 domains, and we're not being evaluated on all 10 things all at once, right? So we're really going to have those collaborative conversations and focus. Teachers use these episodes to design high quality lessons and units. So it helps us with our planning process. What's our instruction going to look like? And what is the assessment we will be looking for from that we will do with our students? It ensures that the observer and teacher are on the same page so that when Justin enters my classroom, I know what he's looking for and he knows what to look for, right? So we're not just kind of looking for some, hopefully not walking in the middle of snack or something like that and coming in and actually seeing something of value. Evaluations based on which episodes are observed. Okay. So then this professional practice piece, looking beyond the classroom, a commitment to, that's funny, ongoing learning, right, for everyone, that when we focus ourselves as professionals and expand our learning, then we're bringing that back to our students and helping them grow. And so that's a really important piece, bringing that coming back to our school community and growing. Professionalism, and again, always part of a teacher's evaluation. So it's always expected that we're continuing to work through that process of professional practice, which my other hat in the district is working on the professional development committee. So I can tell you how important that is, like throughout the district, and helping us kind of continue forward with all of the changes that come forth in education. So, you know, if we've sat down and looked at something, there are these essential questions. You'll see kind of on the little leaflet that Justin gave to you, there's a lot of things when you open this up, you're seeing that whole, those 10 dimensions there and all sorts of focus areas, and there are questions there, and there's a lot to look at, which is why having that support through training is going to be essential. And so each of those 10 dimensions is driven by an essential question. What are we really looking for? We would do this with our students, right? So we're doing this with our educators and our professionals in the district. So these essential questions will keep schools focused on what's important, promote school-wide inquiry, foster a common language for instruction and how to improve it, and help continue to move us forward. So this is that whole framework kind of put together as you see it to make the 10 dimensions. So we have these essential questions that come into play. So perhaps one of the areas I want to focus on when I have my sit down with Justin before my evaluation observation is preparing students for new learning. So we would look at those essential questions, talk about what things we might be doing in the classroom. You know, maybe I'm asking for some assistance. Maybe we're looking at the reference books and maybe we're adding an activity from there to enhance what I'm doing or expand my knowledge on that learning. So these become really great resource tools in helping the administrator and the person being evaluated to kind of figure out a path forward in growth in any of these particular areas. So we would choose a focus and we would look through all of the different areas that we might be evaluating. Again, I think these are all on that framework you have, and go through piece by piece. How can we sort of approach these pieces? This is our 5.1 and 5.2 is the planning. Here's our instruction, and then assessment. So overall, when we work together and collaborate effectively as a staff, then ultimately there's a goal in having a positive impact on student achievement, of course, students at the forefront. But you know, especially within this particular dimension, preparing students for new learning, I would hope my students then understand and restate learning goals in their own words. So they know what I'm teaching them, they can see them in the classroom, asking questions, they know what they have to produce and what's expected of them. They assess their own knowledge and vocabulary, call up their prior knowledge, generate questions about content or personal goals, and understand the plan for learning. So when Justin comes in the classroom, hopefully these things would be evident as he's doing his observation. So we're really excited about bringing this to the district. You know, we even ourselves, as part of the committee that selected this, we gathered lots of information from our colleagues, had several meetings. As Jackie mentioned, we looked at several different possibilities for evaluation tools, and this one was just very impressive. And we're going to continue to grow and learn more about this as well as we move forward.
So this is, like we said, this is a big change from what we're currently doing. So we're not gonna say, all right, we're starting all this next year. Here we go. So as the administration talked, and we're really gonna be focused on organization, rules and procedures, and positive relationships. But as we're doing the evaluations, as we're doing the walkthroughs, and as we're doing these discussions with other support staff members, we're gonna be pointing out all the things that they are doing as well. That's the important piece, is like, when we see this, like, oh, I gotta try to cover all of that. No, you're already doing it. And we're gonna be pointing it out to you to make you aware, because no longer are we gonna, like we were saying, how it felt like, oh, I didn't see this, I didn't see that, you know, and we're coming in a walkthrough when they don't know when we're coming. It's in the middle of the lesson. So yeah, we didn't hear them say what their goals and everything were gonna be at the beginning of the lesson. But you can tell through the discussions, by now using this framework, you can say, I can tell that you had this discussion because of X, Y, and Z, and have that be a more positive communication and evaluation with the staff. So we're really excited to be moving forward with this. There's still a lot of, training and learning that we all have to do, including administration, but we didn't want this to be an administration decision. We really wanted to include the staff from every attendance area, all grade levels, to get their feedback and everything. And I think the committee did a really good job of providing that for us. So any questions?
Is there a peer review process as well, or is only administrators review?
So what we do as a process is I'll walk you through, like, at the beginning of a lesson, we talk prior to the lesson, what do they want us to focus on? We evaluate, and then they have to go back and reflect afterwards on their piece of, were there anything that you would change or something like that?
I got that, but are the only observers principals, or are you having other teachers observing other teachers and using this rubric?
No, so it's just administrators that are doing, using this. Other staff members have asked, can we go and observe and everything like that? And they're allowed to do that. Of course, we want them to expand their thing, but it's never using the evaluation piece. Yes.
You said that you're gonna use this same tool for doing support staff, and
Yep.
how will that look? Because this is all written in terms of classroom.
So that's what we're gonna be meeting with support staff members, secretaries, school counselors, every single department, to really change the wording of these. But these 4 foundations of the
Right, the 4
cornerstones.
foundations, certainly.
And
Yeah.
then when you look inside, we're gonna be changing those and working with
okay.
them to adapt it to more relevant to them, but we want the same framework.
Right.
That's the big piece, instead of having the 30 that I now sent you,
Yeah.
but having that common, but we want to include them in the discussion of what that's going to look like.
I really like the idea of having a similar, that was something that I pushed for many moons ago, when I was working here. Well, because we've been talking about evaluations forever. So, and it's amazing that we got so much training in Danielson that it was coming out of our ears. So and then it probably was like, okay, that's enough. And so, but then new people came in, imagine that. And so, that needed to continue. So, yeah.
So we're confident with the plan that we have moving forward and everything, like to keep providing these opportunities for new staff, and even staff that are currently doing it, just having those refreshers every few years.
It's really important. It's really important. If you do any research into evaluation tools,
keeping everybody up to date in terms of what the tool is, how it's supposed to be used, what its purpose is, because it is very easy, as Jackie said, to get into a thing where it's just like, it's a gotcha, you know? And you don't, that's not what an evaluation is supposed to be.
Right.
It's supposed to be a learning experience and an opportunity. You're supposed to feel safe to say, this is an area that I need to work on. And if you feel like it's a gotcha, you're not gonna do
Yeah,
that.
and
So,
that's what we're really excited for this piece to say, hey, I really can, when you come into my classroom, can you focus on this area for me? And then that's what you can really take from it, which is.
So I can kind of speak to that because, the principals came in, for a lesson in several different rooms as a pilot. And, they came to my room and of course I was all ready to go and I knew I was gonna have 6 administrators in the back of my room and
Very brave.
boom, we're ready to go. And the evaluator and dean.
Yeah.
And that, at that particular moment, a child in the classroom stood up and said, Mrs. Ronning, I don't feel good. And then the child was ill. And
of course.
everything got, belly up, everything went belly up. And I had a lot of help though, a lot of help. And we ended up moving to the library and that child got assistance. But, I was thinking under the old model, oh, okay, well, this just got blown out of the water. I don't really have a lesson because all my stuff is in the room. I now need to kind of shift and move in a different direction. So I wasn't sure what feedback I would get. But the difference was, and it was very clear to me, the difference was that the evaluators were looking for what I did do.
Mhm.
They recognized this is real life. This is what the classroom can be like. You don't know from one day to the next what might happen.
Someone's
And
gonna
if
throw
we
it.
were looking at what I did, and one of the comments that I got from Dean was that it was a seamless move. And that the children were prepared and they knew what to do when we said we're going up and we're gonna go continue in another location. And it just happened. And that was recognized and valued and appreciated by the administrators. And that's what we want. We want that collaborative feeling, that trust. And that's how we will move forward. But most importantly, we do that for our children and we should be doing that with our staff. That is how we're going to get better.
Well, I think it also builds up the trust.
Correct.
It builds the trust, and you want your evaluation tool to build the trust, not to break down the trust.
So we do have Jamie Teague online, and I know she's got a question for you. So, Jamie?
Good evening, everyone, and apologies for coming in 15 minutes late. This looks really interesting and very exciting. The only question that I would have at this point is, and it may have already been answered, so apologies if it was, how this fits in with our policy GCO and with the collective bargaining agreements regarding evaluations of staff.
So we are gonna be meeting with the union to make sure that, because currently, we have, it's stationed as 3 walkthroughs and an observation, announced or unannounced, and an evaluation at the end. And we've come to you for the past few years asking for that change and everything. So we've talked as an administration team of what we feel is an appropriate set number. We're gonna be bringing that to the union to have that discussion with them. And then because we can always add on, we want to see another observation. Or we would like to see another walkthrough onto their model for them. But that's the next piece that we're gonna be discussing with the union.
So follow up.
Mhm.
So in the policy, this is, I believe it has to be agreed to with the school board and the superintendent and the administration, right? And then the unions. So it'll come back to us once you go through all those discussions?
Yes, like we've talked with the superintendent, we've already started having some conversations with some of the union just to make them aware of what's going to be happening. And then once that's agreement, then we would bring it to the school board afterwards.
Awesome, thank you.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
I just have a quick, I mean, it looks super comprehensive. And it sounds like you're gonna do a staged approach as far as transitioning to it. And I was reading about the Danielson as more surface level type of a tool. Do you feel like the administrators and everyone you've gone to, the staff, that they are on board with it, that you have their buy-in?
I think this is going to be a big change. I think,
So it might be some pushback.
well, I don't necessarily think like pushback, but I think there's gonna be some hesitation to it because it's a different approach. It's no longer check, check, check.
Right.
It's let's sit down and have a conversation about, you know, the areas that you are doing extremely well in, or here's some recommendations to help further, you know, push you along and everything like that. I think that mindset is gonna be, the piece that we'll have a little pushback with. But I think for the most part, staff are excited from what we're talking about. I think there's a lot of questions until support staff, related services, counselors see exactly how those domains and everything are changing, or the cornerstones and everything. There's gonna be a lot of questions, you know, I don't know what this is gonna look like until I see it, which we totally understand. So once everything is in place, I feel like it's gonna be a lot better for all staff. And I think we have a lot of staff that are excited for this approach.
What is your timeline for transitioning?
We're gonna be trying to finish everything up over the summer. And then that way we can start rolling certain pieces out this next school year is the goal.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for our panel?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is really
Thank you.
exciting. And I just want to share my own observation here. It's like to see our educators come in and say, I'm excited to be able to say, this is what I want help working on, you know, just highlights why you're in the classroom and how you bring that to the students and inspire them. So I really do appreciate that you've been a part of this process. So, oh, and I actually want to look those a little bit more after because I didn't want to miss anything. So. Okay, thanks. I'll be stopping by Walpole later this week to drop things off if you
Not a
have to
problem.
go before I bring them
Yep.
back.
Thank
you.
She's
Thank
gonna
you.
keep a matter.
No, but I just want a minute to, there's so much in there. and
Yeah.
There is a lot, kind of exciting, so, thank you. Yeah. All right, the next order of business is the FY 26 general assurances. There were some changes to it. Here's a little.
Yeah, so briefly, especially for Karen, who's a new board member, hasn't seen these before, these come up every year. And they're assurances that the state asks us to sign, which in preparation for this, most of them are either through the business office or through human resources. So both Lori and Bill went through these as well, just to make sure that everything is in place. And basically, they're asking for these assurances so that we can apply for title funding and grants going forward. So I would recommend the board support the assurances. We'll have them signed and sent to the state so we can begin planning for next year.
All right, questions?
Were there any changes this year from last year?
I didn't have a lot to compare to, but when I look them over, they're pretty standard of
Yeah.
what we've seen over a number of years.
There's two signers, the chair of the school board, and is it the superintendent?
I believe it's the superintendent.
Okay, it says, senior educator.
Yeah.
I figured it was superintendent. Thank you.
Do you need a motion to approve the signing of that?
Yes,
Alyssa,
please.
one comment.
Yes. please.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't have a hand raise thing. I don't know why. So
Just speak
apologies.
up.
Can we be sure, because I've dealt with these general assurances before in my own realm, just be sure that you have shared the document with anybody who touches grants? Okay,
That's a
thank
very
you.
good point. Yeah, I'll make sure, after it's signed, I'll make sure it's sent to everybody who would, the principals and everyone. Thank you for that, Jamie.
All right, thanks, appreciate it.
All right, can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to move forward with the, what are they called?
We're authorizing the board chair to sign the general assurances.
That's what I want to do.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Second,
All right, are there any other questions or concerns with the signing of this document? Jamie, you're good?
Teague, yes.
Very nice.
Kevin, yes.
Sarah, yes.
I say yes. All right, thank you. Do you need me to stop in the office or do you have it so we can sign it today? I can print it?
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll take care of it this evening.
Very good.
All right, do we have Sandra to speak on these?
She's over there.
Yeah.
She's hiding behind the podium.
So I'm taking these out and going full on open concept here from now on.
As Zandra's coming up,
That podium.
several weeks ago, Xander came in the office and had a discussion about some things, basically a reorganization or the way she looked at her department. And so what we would like to do is have Xandra kind of give you the 30,000-foot view. We may need to take some additional steps after. But for now, at least you have that overview of what she's thinking of. Hope I said that right, Xandra.
It's great.
All right, there we go.
This is actually a thought process that's been going on for me for a couple of years. I had a conversation with Dr. Spence about this. And then Dr. Manson was nice enough to continue that conversation with me too. I would like to create the position of an assistant special education director. Part of this is, I don't know how much information was shared with the school board on my succession plan and the job
We have it.
descriptions. Okay, great, that's fantastic. So my feeling.
It made me scared when it said succession.
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
I was like,
That was
wait
my
a
first thought
second.
as well.
My view is always to think about things from a 3 to 5 year perspective. I'm always thinking ahead. I'm trying to plan. Because I want to make sure that, here's what I want to say. I feel like leadership to be responsible is looking at this to say, when my time does come to go, either retirement or I hope you guys don't ask me to leave, if you ever do. I want it to be seamless. I want the next person to be able to step in and know exactly what I'm doing and do it better than how I did it. So that's why I've shared this succession, that I'm personally not hoping to leave or planning to leave the district right anytime soon. But to be fair with you guys, I've been in education since 1994. I mean, at some point here, I'm going to reach my age of retirement. And I would like to have this position created sooner than later so I can start basically mentoring this person and really going through the ropes and showing them the job. So that's why I shared my job description and also the proposed job description for the same person. I also think it's important as we look at retaining our employees, because that's one of our biggest challenges, is that there's opportunity for people to see that you can advance. One of the things we don't have in my department right now, and I'm going to use the coordinator as the example, because this would be the natural role that I see changing over to one of these assistant director positions, is there's no room for advancement. Once you're in this position, you're in this position. There's not like a retention bonus. There's nothing else that goes with that. So I often find people get in this role and they want to be in administration and they either leave our district or they say like, so what's the next step up? It's obviously my position. So unless I step aside, there's nowhere else to go. And I don't want to lose good people. So that's why I'm asking for the formation of this position. You know, I also want you guys to realize, and I know you know this, over the past 7 years, the complexity of special education is just increased. The demands have increased both at the state and national level. It's increasing and what's being expected of us. And then also just locally, it's becoming more complex. So that's part of it too. So my hope would be, my hopes and dreams, is that this could be happen sooner than later. And what I would like to do is take one of my coordinator positions and make them the assistant director position with a nominal increase, obviously, in their salary. Right now, we have an ESY coordinator. I would roll that in as a stipend position. I would roll that into the assistant director position and then look at whatever additional costs. So it wouldn't be creating a whole new position. It'd be taking a position I already have, changing the title, adding some more responsibilities to that person and moving forward. You guys have any questions?
We're not making a proposal tonight for us to vote on, correct?
I was bringing it forward tonight just for
Okay.
informational purposes.
Right.
And answer questions and let you know my hopes and dreams.
Yes, please.
I can see the benefit of this. I really can. And I support the concept. My only concern is that we're in the midst of a withdrawal study and that until we know we're kind of in a, we're not sure what's gonna happen next kind of a thing. And so I think that if if we were to stay as we are right now, that it definitely makes sense to do this. If we were to switch and have a different setup, we might need to look at it more closely. So, but just in terms of how that would work. So I think it's great to bring it forward and have us be thinking about it.
Can I respond to that?
Oh, no, yes.
So I want to talk to that a little bit to say, to be completely honest with you guys, when I took this position, we were in the middle of withdrawal, and there was a lot of things that were tabled during that time. During my tenure here, we've been through 5 superintendents. A lot of things have been tabled during that time. I feel as if we continuously table things during that time because of what may be coming. So my counter would be, if you want to retain good people and you want this district to sustain, we have to do something sooner than later. Yes, I understand we're going through withdrawal, but we need an assistant director. How can I say this? Regardless of what happens with Walpole, we still have a significant number of students with IEPs in this district and a significant number of need. We need an assistant director. I have to get out to the schools and see what's going on. I cannot do that the way this system is set up right now. I am caught in that office, or I'm caught doing other things. I've got to be able to get out the buildings. I've got to be able to see the teachers. I've got to be able to be boots on the ground. I need another tier below me of somebody who can help. Supervisor, bring on 2 new coordinators next year. They're going to require a lot of supervision and mentorship. I need this next year. I mean, for me, I would love this to happen next year, like this upcoming school year. Like that's how urgent I feel like this is.
Jamie?
So I'm familiar with how this works because my SAU I just left instituted an assistant special ed director this past year. I think it's a very interesting concept. I appreciate, Xandra, that you're trying to figure out how to fund it without just coming and saying I want an unbudgeted position. I appreciate that. I also appreciate that you're bringing it to us early. And so I would hope that we could take a couple meetings for the board to discuss it because we're not all here tonight. So I think that's a real important piece that all 7 board members come together to discuss it. And we do understand your urgency because it's not getting any easier or better. So thank you. And that's just my opinion. Thanks.
I appreciate that.
Is this something you think we have internally?
I do.
Okay. Yep.
That's what I heard in your presentation. I think it's a great idea. I agree with you that we need to plan around not only be able to manage the complexity of special education, but for someone to stay who wants to move up and do more. So I think it's a good idea.
And we have
like the preparation.
Yeah, and we have people right now that are taking further classes or working their way towards that. I just don't want to lose good people. Because eventually, like I said, I want to stay, but eventually I'm gonna come to you and say, I'd like to retire.
We will cry.
Well, you won't probably, you're like, it's time, Kendra. And
Cry.
I want somebody else to come in right behind me. I want it to be seamless for our family, our students in our district. I want to be able to hand this over. There's no secrets to this job. I want someone to come in and be like, I know exactly what I need to do, not spend time trying to figure out what we need to do. I've seen too much of that. So.
Well, I think you touch on something important there. One thing we've seen in the last year is that there's plans being put in place so that we no longer have those, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? Let's table that.
Yeah.
There are succession plans going because we do understand that that's how a district has to run in order to actually educate the children here. So I appreciate you bringing it forward. It's one more piece that makes this district work at all. And so I think if we take another meeting when we have the full board here and have some discussions, I think we can make a decision.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
I have numbers at that meeting.
Sounds good.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. We do have our personnel report in front of us, but first, I turn it over to Dr. Manzo.
Yes, I'm very pleased to come to you this evening with a recommendation for the Charlestown principal position. So I've included in the packet kind of what we did as far as the process. And I think beginning the process, we got a little pushback, which was good, because we re-looked and re-educated Charlestown Primary, because I think they at first panicked a little bit that they weren't going to have as much say in the choice of a principal as we intended to have them. So we had an interview committee. Interview committee was made up of teachers, principals, parents, community members, central office people. We interviewed 2 people. And the committee's recommendation to me was to have 1 finalist. So the finalist for the position was Jessie Wood. We then had a meet and greet at Charlestown Primary. We invited all staff, everyone. We had between probably 25 or 30 people attend, and Misty and the tech department were kind enough to develop a feedback sheet where all they had, like Venmo, you just get your code and away you go. And so we had all kinds of input from faculty and staff. Every single one was positive. So if you don't know Jessie has been with our district with the exception of last year when he went off to other places. And he was an assistant principal, but he worked in our district for about 12 years in many capacities. And we feel strongly that he is a real good match for Charlestown Primary, and we're expecting wonderful things. So with that, my recommendation is for Jessie Wood for principalship.
All right. Well, thank you for being here as well. Appreciate seeing you here.
Thank you for having me.
So I just want to share real quickly that after the meet and greet, I had several educators reach out. They're like, this is perfect. So I just wanted to share that here in public. So glad to have you here. We had chosen to take this as part of the personnel report, but we can do a separate motion if you'd like.
I think it warrants a separate motion.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So do I. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I guess I'll make it.
I did
I,
have one question. Sorry, I'm full of questions tonight. That's okay. Just asking the question about certification. Are we all set?
We're all set.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you have another question too? Just the one? Okay.
So I make a motion to nominate Jessie Wood for the principal of the Charlestown Primary School, starting in fall of 2025.
Fall of 2025 or
July 1.
July 1. Like we're not.
It says right here, fall of 2025. All right,
It should be July 1.
July 1, 2025.
Sorry, Jesse, guys, July 1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have a second, please?
I'll second that.
All right. Jamie?
Teague, yes.
Aaron, yes.
Kevin, yes.
Elisa, yes.
Sarah, yes.
Welcome.
Welcome.
We typically meet the 2nd and 4th Monday. We'd love to see you. As often as you want. All right, thank you. Can I have a motion for the remainder of the personnel report?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Any questions or concerns with the report? Seeing none. Jamie?
Teague, yes.
Aaron, yes.
Kevin, yes.
Elisa, yes.
Sarah, yes.
All right, thank you. That brings us to the policy on our form. Did everybody have an opportunity to read through the capital improvements new policy?
It was just the highlighted changes, that's all it was. Or was the whole policy new?
I
Actually,
don't think we had one at all.
No, it's a brand new policy.
Oh,
Yes, I wasn't quite sure why there was a little bit of red highlighting,
Mm.
but
I think there was a question along the way, but I think it's resolved and that highlighting we can take away.
Okay.
We just wanted to see if you read it.
You passed. There is two ands there. If we could take one out, just put a comma, I'd appreciate it,
There we go.
just for clarity. I just want to say I appreciate that we are putting a process in order, just as we discussed earlier, when everybody has the same expectations, things run smoother. So this will move us forward in a really good direction. So I have no other concerns with first read. Does anybody else have a concern?
No, this looks good. My only question, if the definition, is that an all, or is that an or, is that all four options, or only one of those has to be true? All four have to be true? Okay. Cause, there's only three there, I'm sorry. Oh, those four.
No, it's just and. It's
Okay, okay.
part of the.
I'm not really concerned about it, but it enhances the district's physical infrastructure. Enhances as a subjective term. And so I didn't know, if there's a better word for that.
Okay.
Effects.
Affects, increases, I just didn't know if there's a better word.
Improves, I don't know if that's better.
I don't know either. Enhances just seem too subjective. But,
Okay.
you know, what I think would enhance might not mean you think would enhance.
What about improves?
Improves.
An improvement is a definite enhancement.
Yeah.
I like
do that.
improvement.
I'm happy with that change too.
I mean, it's still kind of subjective, but
It's,
yeah, you know. Either way, it's fine.
what would a lawyer put in that?
Yes, more detail.
Yeah.
Feel free to make a
5
suggestion.
sub-notes.
More bullets.
All right, so this is just first read. Do you need us to wait for a second? Does anybody have any, do you want to wait for the rest of the board to take a? They've probably read it all, but to come in and have an opinion on it for a second read?
That's usually process. Yeah.
I think we should do a second read.
Okay.
Yeah, so it goes through the steps.
Sounds terrific. Then I think we're good with new business. Do we have any member of our public who'd like to speak? Please, sir. If you could state your name.
Garrett Neal, the financial report, recognizing that the budget committee has this awesome phenomenal link we're using, and I haven't been in the share drive for a week. Is it possible anytime that a financial report like you guys reviewed in this meeting, is it just possible for us to automatically get that after you review it instead of having to hit individual request every time? Just that we're very data driven and we'd love to have stuff to rake over and not bug you guys.
Garrett, I was gonna email it to you right after this meeting.
Oh, my bad, sorry.
That's all right. I'll make it one of my tasks that when we get it and it's discussed, I email it to the whole committee.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Jamie.
you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Garrett. All right, then that brings us to our non-public, so may I have a motion?
Make a motion to go into non-public, based on RSA 91A, Part A, Part C, and Part K.
I'll second that.
All right, Jamie?
Teague, yes.
Very nice.
Kevin, yes.
Lisa, yes?
Sarah, yes.
All right, so we will be going to non-public. Thank you all for being here. All right, welcome back. Can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report, please?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Jamie?
Teague, yes.
Aaron, yes.
Kevin, yes.
Alyssa, yes?
Sarah, yes.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Perfect. Jamie?
Teague, yes.
Aaron, yes.
Kevin, yes.
Alyssa, yes?
Oh, sorry, Sarah, yes.
All right, thank you.